Hey folks, David Stewart here. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Don't forget to check out the new album, link down below in the description box. But today, I want to talk to you about books. Not all books are created equal. Reading a large quantity of books, that's great, but what you read really matters. So what triggered this video is every so often on social media, I see one of these posts, and it's going to be some influencer, a book talker. I still don't know what book talk is. But they'll have a big stack of books. And they're like, here's all the books that I read this year. And it's a big old impressive stack of books. And then you look at the books and it's a bunch of porn. It's romantasy books. It's romance novels. It's bodice rippers. It's garbage. It's slop. And you have to go, okay, yeah, you read a lot of pages. You turned many pages and saw many words on the page. Did that make you a better person? Did that make you a better writer? Did that improve your intellect? Did that nourish your soul? Or did it just like make you horny for a little bit? What were you doing there? Invariably, this is women who do this because men don't make the mistake of mistaking. They don't make the mistake of thinking that fantasy or romantasy books are the same thing as even regular genre fiction. So they don't make this mistake. This is a thing that goes back to like, forever ago, these reading and book drives that we'd have. Can you read 100 books this year? And that kind of thing. And so people would read books that were easy to read in order to get that done. And I've even done this with my own kids, right? When my son was really young, I wanted to give him a little challenge. So I had this chart of read 100 books. And if he read 100 books, he got this stuffed skeleton Bowser that he was just so into when he was a little guy. And so he found 100 books to read. Now, those were like kids' picture books, right? And so we found lots of things that could count as one of the books. He would read a Cat in the Hat book, and he'd read this book, and lots of those little short early reader books. He read 100 of them. Now, that's great. That really inspired him to read. It got him in the habit. He got excited to do it, and he got to digest a lot of different stories. But an adult reading 100 books, if you just had 100 kids' picture books, you'd be like, that's not impressive. Right. But somehow when it has a few more than like 20 pages, we start thinking that it's really impressive that you read a book at all, because people read so few books as adults. Maybe we get over impressed with ourselves by the fact that we read lots of material, even if that material is like slop garbage. Okay. Reading the romantasy books is not the same as reading Dostoevsky. And it's certainly not the same as reading something like Thomas Aquinas. I do want to mention an anecdote that someone on a mutual on Twitter brought up. Is he was at a potluck. I think it was Chairman Hetero is what it was. And, some girl was talking about some great fantasy series that she was great. And he's like, oh, great, I'm going to go check this out. And he goes, oh, it's porn. It's like, that would be like me going and being like, I'm a huge movie buff. And someone's like, oh, what movies do you like? And you start listing all the Brazzers porn movies that you've watched. And you're like, they're so great. And this one has this happens in this one. And this one's got this plot that happens. The Scooby-Doo porn parody is great. That's what these women talking about these romance novels are doing when they're like hyping up that they're such big readers and reading romance novels. No, like reading easily digestible garbage that just titillates you and maybe even hurts your soul rather than nourishes it. It's not the same as reading like good literature, and it's certainly not the same as reading a challenging nonfiction book. So I always get this thing, men don't read. It's like men actually read a lot, but they're not reading the same things that women read. And when men read, they tend to pick things that are like interesting topics and read nonfiction about it. So a guy who reads like the Summa, that's a different kind of reading, and you're not supposed to read it quickly. And if you're reading it really quickly, you're probably not digesting all the arguments that are in it. If you're reading Plato really quickly, that you're probably missing a lot of what Plato was doing. And honestly, it's the same thing with the Bible, right? You can just skim the Bible, but are you going to really get what's going on in the text if you're just like skimming the Bible? No, we don't have that standard. We have this idea like studying the Bible means to like really think about what's in the Bible. But we seem to just forget about that standard when it comes to other books and be like, yeah, let's clap for you. You read 50 books this year. That's phenomenal. But if those 50 books are garbage, is that really impressive? Versus the guy maybe who he only read like 10 books that year, but like it's 10 important pieces of literature or 10 challenging books. And the thing is, I feel this too when I'm like, man, I really need to reread the Odyssey. I haven't read the Odyssey in such a long time. I need to go back to the classics. I need to reread those. Like, what I'm wanting to experience are things that are more challenging than whatever the most popular fantasy book is. And I've noticed this with myself, is that if I'm excited to read something, boy, I will read it quickly. It's not a matter of forcing myself to read something. I really don't. I only have to force myself to read something if it is not exciting to me. So certain books in a series, like those Middle Wheel of Time books, are just like pulling teeth. You have to force yourself to read it. That's not an experience that I feel like reading should be for people. Reading should be enjoyable, but it should also give you something, even if it's challenging. If it's challenging and gives you something, that's good. And if it's just enjoyable and there's exciting information in it, that's also good. But if it's purely titillating, then you really shouldn't brag about it. Even though I'm not going to judge you if you're reading something titillating, but like, it's not a thing that you brag about. It's like, oh, I read a bunch of romance novels. It's like, good for you, I guess. Bill over there looked at a lot of porn this year. Are you going to call him a movie buff? Probably not. Okay, so that's my big point there, is that not everything is equal. And when you see people bragging about the number of books they read, did they really read anything that challenged them and made you think and maybe expanded their mind or their horizons, or like made them have a deeper understanding of their culture or a foreign culture or anything like that? Probably not. It's probably just going to be like your standard genre slop kind of fiction. And I write genre fiction. Hey, I write genre fiction. Here's some genre fiction I wrote. Eyes in the Walls. Nice little horror book. Check it out. So I write genre fiction, but let's go with the romantasy thing. Instead of reading romantasy, you should read like Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe. So I'm going to be much more impressed if your catalog of books you read is like, oh yeah, I read 10 books this year and I read all the Book of the New Sun. I read all four. I think there's 4 of them. I read all 4 of those, and it's like, okay, that's great. Those are challenging and there's a lot to them. And then when you read something that's challenging and you read something that has an interest, that's really interesting and deep, you want to talk about it, right? And so the other thing too is like, it's better to read something that's good and reread it. It's better to reread something that's really good than it is to read something new that's just garbage. That's another thing too. It's like, I want to read these things again and like reconnect with them, not just read whatever is the current thing. And I found myself like, if I have to force myself to read a book, I usually do this, by the way. There's a lot of do not finish books that I get from used bookstores and then I just give away. And if I can't get into them after 100 pages, then that's it. That's all I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you 100 pages. That's a lot more than what most readers give a book. Most readers give a book like 2 pages. They read the first page at the bookstore, and if they like it, they buy it. So you really got to nail that first page just on a technical position. But I give books 100 pages because, I've read so much. I've read so much genre fiction, especially if I'm reading a fantasy book. I'm like, here's another one of these grimdark fantasy books. Maybe this one will be different, and usually not. And so if I can't make it 100 pages, it's okay. Move on to the next thing. But I do find that if I find like an exciting topic or a nonfiction book that has information in it that I'm excited, I'll read that in a day. So there's people who regiment how they read books, and I don't do that. I never count how many books I've read and how much time. I never keep track of my reading. I don't keep track of my games that I play. I don't keep track of movies that I watch. In general, whatever you regiment and you habituate, that is a thing that you are going to move towards some sort of progressive goal. So you have a goal of like consuming a lot of books, then yeah, having a regimented approach, like my goal is to read a book a week. You can make that a goal and you can do that totally. But I stopped doing that a long time ago because I realized that actually runs counter to what I actually want out of books. I want a deep experience, not just a quantitatively large experience. I want to get deep into a book. And so that means reading sometimes slower. Sometimes it means taking longer to read a book than than I would take if I was just reading like a casual sort of piece of genre fiction. Taking a long time to read a book and really digest what's in the book, that is a way that I like to read. And if you're doing that, then what does that mean? That means that you are reading fewer books and you're not reading them as often, et cetera, et cetera. And then so are people going to judge you that you don't read enough books, or you didn't read very many books this month or this year? But if you got deep into a couple of books and that really had a profound impact on you, then that's good too. Same thing with games, right? I know people who like regiment their games, and they have a back catalog of games, and they think about what game they're going to play when, and they're scheduling all their game time. I just habituate reading and playing games as just kind of part of my day. But I will find, even with movies too, I don't watch as many movies as I used to because most of them don't excite me. If I'm excited to watch a movie, if a movie has an idea that grips me, or like I watch a little bit of it, I'm like, I want to watch the rest of this. I find I will make time to watch that movie. And it's the same thing with books. I find I will make time to read those books. I will make time to play the game if the game is really fun and really exciting. You sort of shift your priorities around to fit that thing in. So yeah, I read all the time, but I don't try to measure it. Because to me, it's about making an experience that's enjoyable and making an experience that's deep. And so measurement goes against that. When it's time to draft a book, I usually will set a word goal. Like I'm trying to write 1,000 words a day or something, or maybe it's higher if usually it's quite a bit higher if I'm actually drafting 2,000 words a day or whatever it's going to be. So I set that goal and then I write that, and that's what it is. Right now, I write an article every day. I record a video every day, and then that's just part of the habit, right? That's part of the process. And you produce things with that. But if it was something that's supposed to be purely enjoyable or a hobby, like doing the hobby performatively, I'm not into that. Like that's what it is. Showing that stack of books that you read, you're performing for other people at that point. And are you really enjoying reading if you're doing it in this performative way and not just chasing your passion and finding books that you like and enjoying them? If you're having to force yourself to do it, like, to what end are you really doing it? I've never really had to force myself to read a great book, right? I've never had to force myself to read a great book. The great book almost reads me. So I like those experiences, and I'm open to those experiences, and I still read all the time, but sometimes I take it slower with a book. Sometimes I go quickly through a book. It just depends. I don't measure it. And maybe you're a person who measures it, and that's cool too. I'll just tell you where I'm at with that. But this all comes back to that final rule, or it's the 8th rule, actually, which is consume art. It's important to be consuming art if you're wanting to be an artist. I just don't take quite as regimented approach as a lot of people. I just habituate it kind of every day. I read a book or play a game before I go to bed, and that's like, the time that's spent in it. So leave me your thoughts down below. Love to see them. Love to read them, and love to hear your thoughts. I heard you guys like funny hats, so I'm wearing the wizard hat. I got like a Skyrim shirt too, so we're the wizard today. So have a good one, and I'll see you all next time. Have a great, great day.